Progress.
Good morning, guys. In the last session, we understood what is infrastructure, right? Infrastructure, nothing but the machines, the servers, storage, security, network power that is required to develop software application and to run the software application. There are two types of infrastructures are available. One is on-prem infrastructure and second one is cloud infrastructure. If you go for on-premises infrastructure, then we need to purchase all the softwares that are required to develop our project and to execute our project. So here we need to invest a lot of money and lot of time, and we need to take care of the management issues also with the infrastructure. When we are maintaining the infrastructure on our own, so it is burden because n number of issues can come with the infrastructure. So to avoid the problems with the on-premises infrastructure, nowadays companies are going for cloud infrastructure. When we go for cloud infrastructure, we are going to use the resources over the internet based on pay-as-you-go model. Now here, when we go for cloud infrastructure, there are several cloud service models are available. So what are the cloud service models available? Infrastructure as a service model available, platform as a service model available, and software as a service model is available. When we go for infrastructure as a service, cloud provider will give the services. I mean to say, they will provide the infrastructure. We need to take that infrastructure and we need to prepare the platform in order to run our application. They will give you the machine. They will give you the machine. They will give you the network. They will give you the storage. But you need to take the machine, you need to install the Java software, you need to install the servers that are required, database that is required, and we need to deploy our application on the infrastructure. And some other model is available, that is platform as a service. When we go for platform as a service, you need to focus only on your application development. Whatever the platform that is required to run the application, that will be provided by cloud provider. And third one, software as a service. They will give the direct ready-made application to run our business, right? These are the three cloud service models are available in the market. Then after, we have seen what is cloud computing. We have seen what is cloud computing. So cloud computing is the process of delivering IT resources on demand basis with pay-as-you-go model. So when you go for pay-as-you-go model, you no need to purchase anything. Everything you are going to take for rent. So low cost will be available and pay-as-you-go model will be available. Scalability will be available. Availability will be available and reliability also will be available. Unlimited storage will be available. Backup, disaster recovery. All these benefits we are going to get with the cloud provider. Right. So cloud computing is the process of delivering IT resources over the internet based on pay-as-you-go model. So there are several advantages available, and these are cloud service models that we are having: IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Then after we started discussion related to AWS cloud introduction. So what is this AWS cloud? Amazon company providing the cloud platform that is called AWS cloud. So here in the AWS cloud, there are several services available to run our applications. So whatever the infrastructure that is required for our project, we can take that infrastructure from AWS cloud. The competitors for the AWS in the market, Azure available and GCP available. So we are going to work with AWS cloud. Now, AWS cloud services are available. There are 200 plus services are available in the AWS cloud. You can create virtual machines in the AWS cloud. You can use database from the AWS cloud. You can go for cloud infrastructure, databases, storage, security, network, everything. Whatever that is required for your application development, for your application execution, everything will be provided by AWS cloud. Those are called cloud services. 200 plus services are available in the AWS cloud. And here, in order to work with the AWS cloud, we need to create one free account. Free tier account is available in the AWS. They will ask your card details, but you no need to worry about the bill amount. AWS will not deduct any amount directly from the card. Whereas Azure and GCP, if the bill got generated, they will directly deduct the bill amount without informing. But AWS will not do that. So we are safe. we can use AWS account free of cost for first 1 year. On which date you will create the account in the AWS, from that date, next 1 year, that account will be free of cost. Okay. Now, before jumping into the AWS services, first we need to understand some concepts related to Linux operating system. Right. First of all, what is operating system? Guys, any idea what is operating system? As a software engineer, you should know this. What is operating system? Can you respond in the chat box? What is operating system, guys? What is operating system? Come on, I'm looking for your answers. What is operating system? Come on, guys. What is operating system? OS is a mediator between user and computer. If you want to use any computer, in that computer, operating system is mandatory. Now I'm taking the class by using my laptop. In my laptop, I'm using Windows operating system. OS is mandatory to use the computer. OS is mandatory to use any computer. Without operating system, we cannot use the computer. So if you're a user, end user, if you want to work with the computer, in that computer, operating system is mandatory. So operating system is a software which will act as a mediator between user and computer. So OS is mandatory to use any computer, right? Now, by using operating system, we can run our applications in the computer. Using OS, we can run our applications in the computer. For example, now I am using Notepad and I'm typing some content. I'm writing some points. I'm running Zoom to take the class. Similarly, I can use the Paint and I can draw some diagrams. This Notepad, this Paint, whatever the calculations if I want to do, then I can go for calculate. These all are the applications that we are using in our computer. In order to run these applications, we need one platform. That platform is provided by operating system. For every computer, operating system is mandatory. Operating system is acting as a mediator between user and computer. So without operating system, we cannot use any computer. So in the market, we have below 3 types of operating systems. We have below 3 types of operating systems, which are very famous in the market nowadays. First one is Windows operating system. Second one is Linux operating system. And the third one is Mac OS. Windows operating system is available and Linux operating system is available. Mac operating system is also available. What is this Windows operating system? This Windows operating system is given by Microsoft. Microsoft company developed this Windows operating system. So if we go for Windows OS, so Windows is very famous operating system that most of the people who are using the computers will use this Windows operating system. It is developed by Microsoft company, our Bill Gates, developed by Microsoft. Developed by Microsoft. Single user operating system, single user OS. This Windows operating system developed by Microsoft company and only one person can access Windows operating system at a time. I'm using this laptop. In this laptop, Windows OS is available. Other users cannot connect to this laptop because I'm already using this laptop. This is having Windows OS. Windows OS is called as single user operating system. It is GUI based. It is GUI based. That means for everything, the user interface is available. For example, if I want to create one folder, then I can right click new folder. So the GUI is available. I can type the name. Then if I want to delete that folder, right click, then show options. Then there is an option called delete. So like this, for everything we are having graphical user interface for the Windows operating system. So Windows operating system that is developed by Microsoft, and that Windows is single user operating system and this Windows is GUI based operating system. Okay, it is used for personal purpose. It is used for personal purpose, like games if you want to play, watching movies, personal work, any personal use that you have, that if you want to do some calculations, if you want to play some games, if you want to watch some movies, if you want to use it for your personal work, then that Windows operating system is highly recommended. Less security will be available when you go for Windows operating system. That is the reason when you are using Windows operating system, we are going to install antivirus software in our machine, because it is very easy for the virus to attack for the Windows operating system, because in the Windows, everything will be installed in the form of DLL files and .exe files. So through .exe files, virus can attack for our systems. That is the reason in the Windows operating system, most of the people will install antivirus software, because in the Windows, security features are very less. And Windows is highly recommended for personal purpose and games, movies, any personal work that you want to do. For that, you can use Windows operating system. Less security will be available, and Windows license is a commercial. Okay, we are using the trial versions of the Windows, and we are using our laptops with the trial versions of the Windows. But when you go for software company, in the company, they need to use only licensed version softwares. So software companies should not use any free versions, because in the software company, every 3 months or every 6 months, auditing will happen. At that time, if they find any free software that is using in the company, they will file a case on the companies, right? So companies should go with licensed software. So here, that's the reason, as Windows is a commercial operating system, in the software companies, they don't prefer Windows operating system for running our applications, right? So what is Windows? Windows is one operating system developed by Microsoft, that is single user operating system, that is GUI based operating system. That operating system is used for personal purpose. That means any personal use you have with a computer, then you can do that work by using this Windows operating system. And we are having less security features in the Windows operating system. And Windows license is commercial. Windows license is commercial. So to overcome these problems with the Windows operating system, people are going for Linux operating system. In the real time, in the companies, we are going to work with Linux operating system. What is Linux operating system? First of all, it is free. Linux is very secure. Linux is free software, and Linux is very secured software, and multi-user operating system. Multi-user operating system. What is the meaning of multi-user operating system? Multiple users can connect to the Linux machine at a time. Whereas if you go for the Windows operating system, only one person can connect with the Windows operating system at a time. Whereas when you go for Linux operating system, multiple users can connect with the Linux operating system at a time. That's why Linux is called as multi-user operating system. Linux is very secure operating system, and Linux is free. It is a free OS. You don't need to purchase any license to use the Linux operating system. Got it. Now here, Linux history. Let's understand how this Linux operating system came into market. Okay, how this Linux operating system came into market. Initially, we had Unix operating system. Initially, we had, before Linux, we had one operating system called Unix operating system. There is a person called Linus Torvalds. Linus Torvalds identified some issues in Unix OS and informed to Unix team. Unix operating system was available at that time. That was the commercial operating system. At that time, there was a person, the name is Linus Torvalds. His name is Linus Torvalds. That Linus Torvalds started using the Unix operating system. That person identified some issues in the Unix operating system, and he informed those issues to Unix team. Unix team rejected the issues reported by Linus Torvalds. Unix team did not accept Linus Torvalds suggestions. Linus Torvalds identified some issues in the Unix operating system. He told to the Unix team, boss, Unix operating system becoming very famous in the market, but there are some issues available. I have identified those issues. Could you please accept my issues and could you please change your operating system? At that time, Unix company did not accept the Linus Torvalds suggestions. Now, this Linus Torvalds got very angry. Then Linus Torvalds developed his own OS, that is Linux OS. How this Linux OS he developed? He used Linux operating system to develop Linux. He used Linux OS to develop Linux. Okay, so here his name is Linus and he used Linux operating system. What he has done, from his name, he has taken first 2 characters and from Linux he has taken last 3 characters and he named it as Linux OS, Linux operating system. Are you guys clear? How this Linux came into market? Initially we had Unix operating system. Linus Torvalds identified some issues in the Unix operating system and informed to Unix team. Unix team did not accept Linus Torvalds' suggestions. Then Linus Torvalds developed his own operating system, that is Linux. Linus Torvalds developed his own OS by using Linux operating system. Okay, right. Linus Torvalds developed his own operating system by using Linux operating system. His own operating system by taking the help of Linux operating system. At that time, Linux operating system already available in the market, but that is not that much famous. So this guy, Linus Torvalds, developed his own operating system by using Linux. When he developed this new operating system, what is the name that he has given for the new operating system? His name is Linus Torvalds. He used Linux operating system. Then he has taken first 2 letters from his name, last 3 letters from the Linux, and he named it as Linux operating system. Today, that is most famous and highly used operating system in the market. Are you guys getting my point? How Linux came into picture? Are you guys able to understand what is Linux and how Linux came into picture? You can see that person also, Linus Torvalds. Now, he's a software engineer. Let me open his photo. You can see him. Yeah, this is the guy. Is Linus Torvalds. This is the guy who developed Linux operating system for us. He used Linux operating system to develop Linux operating system. He released, Linus Torvalds released Linux OS into market with free of cost. Right? So he did not charge anything for Linux operating system. He developed that Linux operating system. He released that Linux operating system into market for free of cost. Now, here guys, as this Linus Torvalds released Linux OS into market with free of cost, there are so many companies taken Linux OS source code and modified according to their requirement and released into market with different names. Linus Torvalds developed that Linux operating system. He has provided the operating system for free of cost and he provided Linux operating system source code also. As this person provided Linux operating system source code into the market for free of cost, so many companies have taken Linux OS source code and modified according to their requirement and released into market with different names. Those are called as Linux distributions. Linux operating system having multiple distributions. What is the meaning of Linux distribution? Linus Torvalds developed Linux OS. he provided the Linux operating system for free of cost along with the source code. Released Linux OS into market with free of cost along with the source code. Whatever the code that he developed for the Linux, he released that source code also into market for the free of cost. So many companies downloaded Linux OS source code and modified according to their requirement and released into market with the different names. Those are called as Linux distributions. What are the Linux distributions we are having? So the famous Linux distribution, that is Ubuntu Linux. Ubuntu is one of the Linux. Ubuntu is a Linux OS. Ubuntu nothing but it is the one operating system name that is belongs to Linux operating system. Ubuntu is one of the Linux flavor. Similarly, we are having Red Hat Linux. Red Hat Linux is available, and we are having Debian Linux. Debian Linux available, and we are having Fedora Linux. SUSE Linux is available. Kali Linux is available. SUSE Linux available. Kali Linux is available, and Amazon Linux is also available, and CentOS Linux is also available. CentOS Linux, Amazon Linux, like this there are 200 plus Linux distributions are available. What is the meaning of Linux distribution? The companies has downloaded Linux operating system source code given by Linus Torvalds. They made some changes to that Linux operating system, and they released that Linux operating system into market with the different names. Those operating systems are called as Linux distributions. These are famous Linux distributions available in the market. We have 200 plus Linux distributions in the market. We have 200 plus Linux distributions. Those all are Linux operating systems only, but they have developed that operating system as per their company requirement. They have taken Linus Torvalds source code, whatever the source code developed by Linus Torvalds for the base Linux. These companies downloaded that and they modified that code and they released into market with their names. Those are called as Linux distributions. If you go for Windows, in the Windows we are having versions. Windows 3, Windows 7, Windows 10, Windows 11. We are having versions in the Windows operating system. But in the Linux, distributions are available. Every distribution belongs to one company. Ubuntu Linux, Red Hat Linux, Debian Linux, Fedora Linux, SUSE Linux, Kali Linux, CentOS Linux, Amazon Linux, etc. So there are 200 plus Linux distributions are available in the market. Are you guys clear? What is operating system? Operating system is a software that acts as a mediator between user and computer. Operating system is a software that is going to act as a mediator between the user and computer. So if you want to use any computer, then operating system is mandatory. Without having operating system, we cannot run any application in the computer, either Notepad or Eclipse or your calculator or your Paint, whatever the application that you want to run in the computer, for that operating system is required. Operating system will provide the platform to run our applications. So in the market, we are using Windows operating system. What is Windows operating system? Windows operating system that is developed by Microsoft. Windows operating system is single user operating system. Single user operating system, nothing but only one person can access Windows operating system at a time. And in the Windows operating system, GUI is available. That is nothing but graphical user interface. For everything, you have the option. You can click the button. You can perform the operation. You can create the file. You can create the folder. You can delete. You can rename. For everything, the GUI, graphical user interface, is available. And Windows is recommended for only personal purpose. Windows is not recommended to run the servers. Windows is not recommended to run the databases and all. Okay, because security features are very less in the Windows operating system. And that too, Windows operating system license is a commercial. So if you want to use the Windows, you need to purchase the license from the Microsoft. Yearly 4,000 or 5,000, lifetime 4,000, 5,000 license will be license cost will be available when you go for the Windows. So to overcome the problems of the Windows, people are going for Linux operating system. Linux is free OS, Linux is free and open source operating system. Free means you can use it for free of cost. Open source means the source code also available for Linux operating system. Linux is a free operating system. and it is open source operating system. Linux is very secured operating system. Linux is very secured operating system. Linux is multi-user operating system. What is the meaning of multi-user operating system? Multiple users can access Linux machine at a time. Multiple users can access Linux machine at a time. I will show you that practically. Linux is very secure operating system. Linux is multi-user operating system. Linux is highly recommended to run servers and databases. Linux is highly recommended OS to run servers and databases. To run the servers and databases. Linux is used for business purposes. Linux is recommended for business purpose, not for personal purpose. Linux is CLI based. Linux is CLI based. Windows is GUI based, whereas Linux is CLI based. So what is the meaning of GUI? Everything graphical user interface is available when you go for Windows operating system. When you go for Linux operating system, everything is command based. We need to execute the commands. How we use git bash commands, CLI based commands. Similarly, if you want to work with the Linux operating system, then we need to understand Linux commands. Those commands we are going to learn. Okay. Linux is a free and open source operating system. Linux is very secure. Linux is multi-user operating system. What is the meaning of multi-user operating system? For example, if I take one Linux machine, this is one Linux machine. Assume that this is one machine which is having Linux OS. Now, to this Linux machine, multiple users can connect at a time, and one person from this side is connecting to the Linux machine. Another person also can connect to the same Linux machine and they can perform operations at a time. One person connected to this Linux machine, another person also connected to the same Linux machine. So multiple users can connect to the Linux machine at a time and they can do the multitasking. That's why it is called as multi-user operating system. Whereas if you go for Windows, only one user can connect at a time. Windows is single user operating system. Are you guys clear? Windows is GUI based, Linux is CLI based. So Windows operating system developed by Microsoft, Bill Gates, right? That is a very big company in the world. They developed that Windows operating system and they are selling that Windows operating system in the market. So if you see the history of the Linux, how this Linux OS came into market. Initially, we had Unix OS before Linux, right? So Linus Torvalds, that person, identified some issues in the Unix OS and informed to Unix team. They did not accept the changes that are suggested by Linus Torvalds. Then Linus Torvalds developed this operating system by using Minix operating system. So he developed a new operating system based on the Minix. For that, he has given the name as a Linux. How he identified that name as a Linux? From Linus, he has taken the first two letters. From the Minix, he has taken the last three characters. He named it as Linux. Okay. When the Linus Torvalds developed this Linux operating system, Linus Torvalds released Linux operating system into market with free of cost along with the source code. Then so many companies downloaded that Linux OS source code and modified according to their requirement, and they released into market with different names for those operating systems. Those operating systems are called as Linux distributions. The base OS is Linux, but some minor changes are available in these distributions as per that company requirement. What are the Linux distributions are available? Ubuntu Linux, Red Hat Linux, Debian, Fedora, SUSE, Kali, CentOS, Amazon Linux, like that. There are so many distributions are available. In the market, a total 200 plus Linux distributions are available. Okay, guys. Are you clear with this point? What is Linux and how Linux came into market and why companies are preferring Linux? Linux is multi-user operating system. Linux is very secure operating system and Linux is free operating system. And there are so many distributions are available for the Linux operating system. He is contributed. He is not earning anything from that Linux operating system. He has given for free of cost. Okay. he has done the charity. He has provided Linux operating system to market for free of cost. Guys, are you clear? What is Linux? Why Linux? And who developed Linux? What is Linux distribution? Are you clear with these points? Are you guys clear with these points? Good. Now, shall we proceed further? Linux environment setup. Linux environment setup. Guys, here Linux we can use in two ways. First one, install Linux OS in computer directly. So how you install Windows operating system in your laptop? Similarly, we can install Linux OS in the computer. That is the first option. Second option is virtual machine. Second option is virtual machine. So you can install the Linux operating system in your computer and you can use that Linux computer to perform the operations. Instead of that, we can go and take Linux virtual machines also. So what is virtual machine? Now here, what I will do is to practice the Linux operating system, to get the hands-on experience with the Linux operating system, what I will do. I'm already using my laptop. Okay, this is my personal laptop. In this laptop, I am using Windows operating system. Okay, laptop, that means it is a computer. In order to use this, operating system is mandatory. Without operating system, we cannot use any computer, as we already discussed that. So in my laptop, I'm already using Windows operating system. Guys, any difference in classroom training and online training? Guys, are you feeling any difference? Or it's okay? Any difference is there? No difference, huh? You are seeing my face in the online also from today. Fine. Good. Now here, I am having my laptop. In this laptop, I'm using Windows operating system, guys. Okay. But now, today we realized that in the companies, Windows is used only for personal purpose, not for business purposes. If you want to run our application, if you want to deploy our applications in the real-time environment, Windows is not recommended. Windows is used only for personal purpose. Servers installation, database installations, that is not going to happen in the Windows operating system in the real time. I told you the reasons also. Windows is licensed software, single user based operating system, less security features are available. That is recommended only for the personal purpose. That's why in the real time, we are going for Linux operating systems. Now here, I have only one computer. To practice Linux, what I will do? As I told you, I'm going to create one account in the AWS cloud. I'm going to create one account in the AWS cloud platform. AWS cloud will provide infrastructure for rent. As we discussed in the last session, cloud computing advantages. I want one computer. Instead of purchasing that computer to practice Linux commands, I want to take one computer for rent from the AWS. So AWS cloud is going to provide infrastructure for rent. In the AWS cloud, I'm going to use one service called EC2. In the AWS, several services are available. 200 plus services are available in the AWS. One of the service name is EC2. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. What is EC2 in AWS? What is EC2 in the AWS? EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. Elastic Compute Cloud. So it is used to create virtual machines. It is used to EC2 will provide virtual machines. In the AWS services are available, EC2 will provide virtual machines for us. That means, do you want a computer for rent? Then you can take that computer for rent from EC2 service in the AWS. Okay. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. EC2 will provide virtual machines for rent. Now in the EC2, there is one machine called T2 Micro is free for first year. You no need to pay the money also if you are using T2 Micro instance in the EC2. So AWS people want to encourage the new learners. In the AWS, they are providing infrastructure for rent. So here there are 200 plus services are available in the AWS. One of the service name is EC2. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. What is the purpose of this EC2? EC2 will provide virtual machines for rent. So in the EC2, there are several types of instances available. One of the instance type is T2 Micro. What is T2 Micro? T2 Micro instance is free for first 1 year. Now I will go to AWS Cloud. I have already account in the AWS Cloud. I will log in into AWS Cloud. Then I will create one EC2 instance. EC2 instance nothing but one machine. I will create one Linux virtual machine by using EC2. Now I am already having my Windows operating system. Then I want to practice Linux. That's the reason instead of purchasing another computer for the Linux operating system, I'm going to create one virtual machine in the AWS Cloud. In order to create virtual machine in the AWS Cloud, we are going to use a service called EC2 service. What is EC2? EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. This EC2 will provide virtual machines for us. In that EC2, there are free machines available, commercial machines also available. T2 Micro is the free machine that you can use in the first 1 year. So I will create one EC2 Linux virtual machine in the AWS Cloud. After that, from my Windows machine, I want to connect with the Linux machine that is created in the AWS Cloud. In order to establish this connection from our Windows machine to Linux machine, there are several softwares are available. One of the software is Mobile Extreme and another software is Putty. By using either Mobile Extreme software or Putty software, we can connect from our Windows operating system to Linux operating system. Once we connected to that Linux operating system, then we can perform operations on the Linux machine. We can install the softwares in the Linux. We can create the files. We can create the directories. We can deploy the application. We can install the softwares. We can create the database. So many things that we can do in that Linux machine. So I need to create one virtual machine in the AWS Cloud. So for that, first you need to have the account in the AWS Cloud. So I told you, all of you to create the account in the AWS Cloud. I shared the document also to do that. Now I will log in into my AWS Cloud account. Once I logged in into my AWS Cloud account, here services will be available. So there are so many services available in the AWS. As I told you, there are 200 plus services are available in the AWS Cloud. Okay, guys. Now here in the AWS, what I want to do now, I want to create one machine. I want one computer in the cloud. That means I want to take one computer for rent. I don't want to purchase that computer. I want to take the computer for rent. Who is providing the computers for rent? Cloud providers are giving the computers for rent. Which cloud provider we are using? AWS Cloud we are using. In the AWS, to create the virtual computers, which service is available? EC2 is available. If you want to create a database in the AWS, then RDS service is available. If you want to perform storage in the AWS, S3 service is available. If you want network from the AWS, VPC service is available. So similarly, if you want to take virtual machines, EC2 is available. For every requirement, they provided one service in the AWS. So now our requirement today, creating the Linux machine. To create the Linux machine, the service is EC2. Tomorrow, if you want to create the database, then the service is RDS. If you want storage, then the service is S3. If you want to create the network, then the service is VPC. So why we are going for only EC2 service today, guys? What is EC2 and what is the purpose of EC2? Come on, could you please answer in the chat box? What is EC2 and what is the purpose of EC2? I want some response. If you are giving a response, then I will get interest. Yeah. Why we are going for EC2 service? EC2 is one service in the AWS cloud that will provide virtual machines. You can create one Windows machine. You can create one Linux machine by using EC2 service. Which service is used to create database in the AWS cloud? Which service is used to create a database in the AWS cloud? RDS. RDS stands for Relational Database Service. Which service is used to create the network? VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Which service is used for unlimited storage in the AWS? S3, Simple Storage Service. So like this, there are 200 plus services available in the AWS. We are using one service called EC2. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud, that is providing virtual machines. Do I need to pay anything for the EC2 virtual machine now? Do I need to pay any bill for AWS for taking this machine for rent? First 1 year, this computer is free. If that computer type is T2 micro, it is 1 year free. Okay, guys. So in the EC2, there are several types of instances are available. In that T2 micro instance is free instance. Okay. Now, let me create one machine, guys. When we are creating the machine, several options I have to select. Okay, let's observe what are the options that I'm going to select. So assume that this is my EC2 machine, Elastic Compute Cloud Virtual Machine. In order to create the EC2 machine, several options I have to select. Right. One is AMI. First one is AMI. Second one is AMI. Second one is instance type. What type of instance you want to create? What is the network you want for that instance? And what is key pair that you want to use for the instance? And what is security group that you want to use for the instance? Security group you want to use for the instance. Along with this, AMI will be available, instance type, VPC, key pair, security group, EBS value. These all are the options that we have to select when we are trying to create one EC2 instance. All these things are associated with our EC2 instance. First one is AMI. Second one is instance type. Third one is VPC. Fourth one is a key pair. Fifth one is a security group. Third one is EBS value. So by selecting all these options, we are going to create one virtual machine in the AWS cloud. By using all these options, we are going to create virtual machine in the AWS cloud. What is this AMI? AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. It will represent what configuration that is required for your machine. Do you want Linux machine? Do you want Windows machine? Do you want Mac machine? What operating system that is required for your computer that you are going to select by using AMI. So here I'm going to use the AMI as Amazon Linux. That means Amazon Linux distribution, I want to create this virtual machine. Instance type. So here T2 micro, that is a free tier. T2 micro that is available for free tier. VPC that is providing network for us. Key pair that is used for security purpose. It is like a lock for our machine. Key pair will be available that is used for connecting with our EC2 machine securely. Whatever the EC2 machine I'm creating, only I should be able to connect to this machine. Other people should not be able to connect to this machine. For that, we are going to create one key pair for that. By using the key pair, we are going to secure our EC2 instances. Security group. Security group is used for firewall protocols. Which traffic we need to allow, which traffic we should not allow. EBS value. This is like a hard disk or SSD for our machine for storage purpose. For every computer, storage is required. So here we are creating a virtual computer by using EC2 service. For that virtual computer, storage is required. That storage will be provided by EBS value. For this machine, which traffic should allow, that we are going to configure by using security group. And for this machine, I want security so that other people should not be able to connect with my machine. For that, I will go for key pair. For this machine, network is required because from my Windows machine, I want to connect to this Linux machine. For that, VPC will be available, which will provide the network. What type of machine you want to create? I'm going to create a T2 micro because it is free of cost for first year. And in this machine, what operating system is required? I want Linux operating system. Linux is having so many distributions. Which Linux distribution you want, that you can select by using AMI. AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. Okay. If you want to launch the EC2 instance, these many options that we have to select. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? What are the options that we have to select to create one virtual machine in the AWS cloud? Amazon Linux, that means AMI I am going to select. Instance type I am going to select. Network I am going to select. Key pair I am going to select. Security group I am going to select. And volume also I am going to select. Volume is used for storage purpose. For every computer, storage is required. So here, whenever you purchase a laptop, you will get a hard disk or SSD that is used for storage purpose. Similarly, when you create a virtual machine in the AWS cloud, EBS volume will be attached to your machine. That means that machine is having a storage. For that machine, which traffic we need to allow, which traffic we no need to allow. We will configure that by using security group. When I create that machine, I don't want other people to access my machine directly. Only I should be able to access that machine. For that, I am going to use a key pair. For my machine, security is required. For that, I will go for VPC. What type of machine you want to create? What is the instance type? T2 micro, that is free for first 1 year. AMI, Amazon Linux, that is one of the Linux distribution. You can go for Ubuntu Linux, Debian Linux, Red Hat Linux, Fedora Linux, like that. There are so many distributions are available. I'm going to use one distribution name that is called Amazon Linux. So based on all these settings, by using all these options, I'm going to create one Linux machine. Once the Linux machine is created, we can connect it to that Linux machine by using either mobile extreme software or putty software. Look at this. EC2. We understood what is AWS. AWS is a cloud platform that is providing the infrastructure for rent based on pay-as-you-go model. In the AWS, there are so many services are available. VPC. In the AWS, 200 plus services are available. One is VPC. VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. It will provide the network that is required for our resources in the AWS. And another one is S3. S3 stands for Simple Storage Service, which is used for storing unlimited data in the AWS cloud. And the next one, RDS. RDS stands for Relational Database Service that is used to create relational databases in the AWS cloud. EC2 service is available. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud that is used to create virtual machines in the AWS cloud. Now today, I want to create one virtual machine. For that, I'm going for EC2. So now, if I want to create virtual machine by using EC2, what are the settings I have to select? AMI, that represents what configuration that you need for your machine. That means which operating system that you need for your machine, that can be selected by using AMI. Instance type. That means what type of instance you want to create. Commercial instances are available. Free instances are available in the AWS. Free instance is T2 micro, that is free in the first year. And VPC, network. Key pair for security purpose. Right. Key pair is nothing but a lock. When you are going out from your house, you will keep the lock. You will take the lock with you. Whenever you come back, then you will open the lock. You will enter into the house. Same thing. When I create a virtual machine, I will keep a lock for that machine by using key pair. Only I will log in into my machine. Other people cannot log in into my machine. Security group, that is used to decide the firewall, which traffic we need to allow, which traffic we should not allow, that we can configure by using firewall. Security groups. EBS value, that will provide storage for our machine. Okay, guys. With this knowledge, can we create one virtual machine in the AWS? Virtual machine, nothing but we cannot see that machine with our eyes, but we can use that machine. Whatever the laptop that you are using, that is a physical machine. You can see that machine with your eyes. You can touch that machine. You can operate that. But when I am going for AWS Cloud EC2, I will create virtual machine. I cannot see that machine with my eyes, but I can use that machine. Are you guys able to follow me? Are you guys able to follow me? Can I create the machine now? Virtual machine means we cannot see that machine, but that machine will be available in somewhere, in some other location that machine is available. We can connect it to that machine and we can use that machine, but we cannot see that machine with our eyes. That is called virtual machine. Physical machine and virtual machine. AWS providing physical machine or virtual machine in the EC2. Currently, we are taking virtual machines by using EC2. Are you guys clear with my point? Come on, guys. I'm not getting any response. I'm not getting any response from you people in the chat box. Sleeping? Sunday effect, huh? Sunday effect, people are dull. Anybody not able to understand? Anybody not able to understand, guys, what I'm trying to explain? We are clear, right? Right. Now, let's go here. When you log in the AWS cloud, you can see the console home. This is the AWS management console. In this console, there is a search option. All of you, can you see the search option here? Search box available. AWS, I logged in into my AWS cloud account. In this AWS cloud account, there is a search box. All of you, can you see the search box? All of you, can you see the search box? Yes. Here, you type the service name as EC2. So what is this EC2 saying? Virtual servers in the cloud. So you can create virtual machines in the cloud by using this EC2. So go to EC2, take virtual servers, click on EC2. When you go for EC2, the EC2 dashboard will be available for you. Here it will tell you what are the instances that are available. What are the instances available? Any instances that you have. In my AWS account, currently how many instances available? Only one instance available. That instance is in the running state. Currently, how many load balancers are available? 0. How many security groups are available? 5 security groups are available. How many volumes available? 1. How many key pairs? 2 key pairs are available. Okay. So you don't need to worry about all this information, guys. You just look at the dashboard and there is an option called launch instance. So to get started, launch an Amazon EC2 instance, which is a virtual server in the cloud. That means if you want to create any machine in the AWS cloud, then you can go for this launch instance option. You can go for this launch instance option. Click on launch instance. Whenever you click on the launch instance, it is going to ask the options. Whatever that we have discussed here, all these options we have to select now in order to launch that machine. You can give the name for your machine. I'm giving the machine name as Ashok IT Linux VM. I'm giving the name. You can give any name for that. Ashok ID Linux VM. After this, it is asking what is the AMI that you want. Boss, do you want to create a Mac machine? Do you want to create Amazon Linux machine? Do you want to create Windows machine? Do you want to create Red Hat? Do you want to create Ubuntu? Do you want to create SUSE Linux machine? Debian Linux. What are these SUSE, Debian, Red Hat, Ubuntu, Amazon Linux? These are called as Linux distributions. As I told you, 200 plus distributions are available for the Linux. So currently, I'm choosing one distribution called Amazon Linux, that is called AMI. What is AMI? AMI is a template that contains the software configuration, means whatever the operating system that you need, whatever the server that you need, what are the applications you need, everything will be part of the AMI. I'm taking one AMI called Amazon Linux AMI. Okay. Then after that, instance type. So if you see T2 micro instance I'm taking, why T2 micro I'm taking? It is free tier eligible. Free tier eligible. So there are other instances also available. If I go for T2 large, I will get the 2 virtual CPUs, 8 GB RAM, but it is not free. Per hour, some amount they are going to charge. So that is a billable instance. So that is the reason we are going to do the practice by using T2 micro. Why we are going for T2 micro? T2 micro is free tier eligible. First 1 year, that machine is free of cost. You no need to pay anything for that machine. Getting my point? So I'm taking one EC2 instance. For that, I'm giving the name as Ashok Linux VM, and AMI, Amazon Linux I'm taking. Instance type I'm taking as T2 micro, that is a free tier eligible. Key pair. Key pair that is used for security purpose. So first time you are creating the machine, you will not have any key pair. For me here already some key pairs are available. Let me show you how to create the key pair. So if you don't have a key pair, you go here, click on create new key pair. Select this create new key pair, enter the name for the key pair. You can give any name for that. I'm giving the key pair name as Ashok ID. Ashok ID I'm giving as a name. PEM file or PPK file. If you want to use a putty, then you can go for the PPK. If you want to go with the mobile extra, then PEM file. I'm using PEM file. Click on create key pair. Observe, when I click on create key pair, that key pair is downloaded, guys. So here, that key pair is created. AWS will maintain the key pair and it is giving one key pair for me. That means whenever you create a key pair, AWS will keep public key. Public key will be available in the AWS. Private key will be provided for us. That is in the form of a PEM file. Now, so whenever that key pair is created, that public key will be available in the EC2. Private key that is downloaded in our system. Now, if I want to connect with the EC2 instance, I need to use the private key. My private key content should be compared with the public key content in the AWS. If it is matching, then only I can connect with that machine. Otherwise, I cannot connect with the machine. Now, as I have created the key pair, I have downloaded the private key. Without this private key, you cannot connect to that machine. My machine is secured by using key pair. Okay, I have created a new key pair with the name called Ashok IT. That is downloaded. Network settings. Who is providing the network, guys? Which service is responsible to provide the network in the AWS? Network will be provided by which service? Network will be provided by a service called VPC. So here, by default, Amazon people provided one default VPC that is going to provide the network for our machine. And next one, firewall security. For our machine, firewall security is required. Right, firewall security is required for our machine. As we are creating the Linux machine, firewall security will be created with the SSH protocol. So allow SSH traffic. Whatever the mobile extram or putty we are using, these mobile extram or putty are going to work based on SSH protocol. So that's why in the firewall security, SSH protocol will be enabled by default. You no need to do anything. Just you use the option as it is. Firewall security, create security group. It is allowing SSH traffic. That's it. Storage. As I told you, the root value. EBS root value will be available for our machine. By default, for the Linux machine, 8 GB storage they are going to provide. If you want more than that, you can use it, but it is costly. So by default, 8 GB will be available for the Linux machine. That is free of cost. So these are the options we have selected. I want to create a Linux machine. For that, I'm using EC2 service. I want to launch a new machine. One machine is called as one instance. For that, I have given some name and I have selected AMI and I have selected instance type. I have selected key pair, network setting by default VPC, security group is creating by default, root volume 8 GB available by default. With these options, let us click on launch instance button. If you want 2 instances, if you just give the number 2, then 2 machines will be created with the same configuration. If you want 10 machines, then you can create 10 machines also. 10 machines will be created at a time. Currently, I'm going with only 1 machine. Number of instances that we need, one machine I want to create. Now click on launch instance. When I click on the launch instance, it is creating one EC2 instance in the AWS cloud. Successfully initiated the launch of your instance. Okay, this is the instance ID. Let us click on this instance ID. When I click on the instance ID, it will display the instance that I have created. You see, instance state is pending. Instance state is pending. It will come to available state. Let's wait for that. Running. Yes, the instance is running. That means I have created one Linux machine in the AWS cloud. That machine is running. Okay, let us select this machine. When you select this machine, for this machine, IP address will be available. There are two types of IP addresses available for the machine. One is called public IP, another one is called private IP. Now, I have launched one Linux machine in the AWS cloud. Now I want to connect to that Linux machine from my Windows machine. For that, I will go for mobile extra or I will go for putty. In order to connect to this machine, I need to take the public IP of this machine. If I want to connect from outside of the AWS, my machine is running in the AWS. I want to connect to that machine from my laptop. For that, I'm going to use mobile extra. So for this, I need to know what is the public IP of this machine. Okay. Now for this machine, username will be available. Username is by default EC2 user, and protocol SSH protocol will be available with the port number 22, and public IP address will be available, and whatever the key pair, private key that we are downloaded na .pem file. We need all these details in order to connect with this Linux machine that we have created. Right, guys? So what is the username of this machine? Username is EC2 user. And what is the port number? SSH port number 22. What is the public IP that we can take it from here? Here public IP is available. Let me copy that public IP. This is public IP of that machine. What is the private key? That private key we already downloaded, PEM file. PEM file we have already downloaded. So by using all these details, we can connect it to that Linux machine. I created my Linux machine. So here you can see the Linux machine. If you click on connect, it will show what is the public IP of this machine and what is the username of this machine. The default username for Amazon Linux will be EC2 user. Okay. EC2 user is the username. Protocol is SSH. Public IP is already available. We copied that. Private key, we already downloaded the PEM file. By using these details, we can connect it to this Linux machine by using a software called Mobile Extra. Now look at this machine. EC2 instance is available. This is Ashok Linux VM I have created. It is in the running state. Public IP address is available. If you want to know the username, you can click on the connect button. It will display what is the public IP, what is the user. Okay. The default username for Amazon Linux machine is EC2 user. Now, once this machine is ready, now I want to connect it to this machine. In order to connect it to this machine, we need to download one software called Mobile Extra. We need to download one software called Mobile Extra. Okay, guys. So let's go to Google, download Mobile Extra. Download Mobile Extra software. Mobile Extra for Windows. Just go to this link. From there, you can download this. This is the URL from where you can download Mobile Extra software. Okay. So here you can click on Mobile Extra download. That software will be downloaded. You can extract the zip file. You can see one file called mobileextra.exe file. Once you open the Mobile Extra file, it is going to look like this. So this is my Mobile Extra software. This is my Mobile Extra software. Observe carefully how I am connecting. This step is important, guys. Linux machine is created. Now, I want to establish connection between my Windows machine and a Linux machine. To establish connection between my Windows machine and Linux machine, I have downloaded one software called Mobile Extra software. Mobile Extra is used to establish connection between Windows and Linux. Some people will use Mobile Extra. Some people will use Putty. We can use anything. I'm going with the Mobile Extra. All right. Now here, I am having my Mobile Extra software. Okay. In this Mobile Extra, I need to set up connection with the Linux virtual machine. My Linux virtual machine is already running in the AWS cloud. My Linux virtual machine already running in the AWS cloud that is having the public IP and username. Key pair I have already downloaded. Okay, select the public IP, then go to mobile extram. In the mobile extram, there is a first option called session option. Observe carefully, guys. Whatever the steps that I'm explaining, these are very important now. So go to session. Here, how you want to connect with the Linux machine? Linux machine will run on the protocol SSH protocol. Windows machines will run on the RDP protocol. Linux machines will run on the SSH protocol. In the AWS cloud, I have created a Linux machine. For that, SSH protocol is required. Let us click on SSH. It is asking, what is your host? Host is nothing but the public IP address of our Linux machine. Host is nothing but public IP address of our Linux machine. What is the username of our machine? As I told you, from here, you can get the username. What is the username? EC2-user. Let us enter that username here. EC2-user. When you select this checkbox, then only you can type the data. Select this checkbox and enter your username. Then after, key pair. So people, if you know my IP address and my username, you cannot connect because my machine is secured with the key pair. So people can know our public IP address and our username of the machine. If they know that, still they should not be able to connect to our machine. For that reason, I created key pair for my machine. Now I need to upload that key pair. To upload that key pair, you need to go for first tab, advanced SSH settings, use a private key. You select this checkbox, then you select the key pair that we have downloaded. Okay. When I create the key pair, that key pair got downloaded. Let me go to users, downloads. In the downloads, that Ashok IT key pair is downloaded. Select the key pair which you have downloaded. Host name, that is the public IP, username of that machine, and the key pair that we have downloaded. Click on OK. So with this, I am trying to connect from my Windows machine to Linux machine. Perfect. I'm able to connect with the Linux machine now. You can see my Linux machine is ready. Where is that Linux machine? Can you see that machine with our eyes? Guys, can we see this Linux machine with our eyes? No, we cannot see that machine with our eyes. But can I use that machine? Yes, we can use that machine. Now, in this machine, everything is a CLI based. Everything I need to do with the commands. In the Windows, everything is with the GUI. In the Linux, everything is with the CLI. Windows is GUI based operating system. Linux is CLI based operating system. Are you guys clear? How to connect with, how to launch Linux VM, how to connect with the Linux virtual machine by using mobile extram. Okay. Create AWS account, free tier. Create EC2 instance with Amazon Linux. Download mobile extram software. Connect to Linux VM. Connect to EC2 Linux VM. Connect to EC2 Linux VM using mobile extram. Using mobile extram, we are able to connect with that. Now, once we connected to this Linux machine, now we need to practice Linux commands. How to create a file, how to create a directory, how to copy the files, how to copy the data from one file to another file, how to install the Java software, how to install the servers, how to install the database, how to run the Java applications in the Linux. All these things we need to learn. For that, we need to practice Linux commands. Windows is GUI based operating system. Linux is CLI based operating system. Are you guys clear with my point? In the Linux, you can execute a command called who am I? What is my name? My name is EC2 user. Okay. What is the date? Today's date it is printing. Today's date it is printing. Print the calendar. It will print the calendar. So everything is a CLI based. Who am I? When I execute a command called who am I, it is giving the username. currently logged in user. I logged in into this machine with my username as EC2 user. What is today's date? Date command is available. Print the calendar. This year calendar, cal. This is printing the calendar. Are you guys clear? Now, in the Linux, we need to understand how to perform operations in the Linux machine. For that, we need to understand Linux commands. There are several commands available in the Linux, guys. Let us see how to work with the Linux commands. So the first Linux command that we have seen, who am I? Okay. Date command is available. Cal command is available. What is the purpose of who am I command? Displays logged in user information. Okay. Date prints today's date. Cal print current year calendar, current month calendar. Print current month calendar, it is printing. These are the commands. And next one, in the Windows, if you want to create a directory, new folder, right? New folder got created. In the Linux, if you want to create a directory, there is a command called mkdir, create a new directory. Okay, if you want to remove the directory, rmdir, remove empty directory. If your directory is empty, you can do that. cd, change directory. Okay, everything is command based in the Linux. So if you want to create one directory in the Linux, right, you can go for mkdir. If you want to remove the empty directory, if the directory does not have any content, then you can remove that empty directory by using a command called rmdir. And there is a command called cd. cd command is used to change the directory. Okay. ls command is available. List files. Whatever the content is available, that content we can list by using this ls directory. And there is another command is available, pwd, display present working directory. Display present working directory. So in the Windows, if you see here, my present working directory, C users Ashok classes 29 SBMS, something like that. So this is my present working directory. This is my present working directory. Similarly, in the Linux, if you want to get the present working directory, then you need to go for a command called pwd. So you see what is the output, pwd. Currently, I am pointing to home directory inside that EC2 user directory. In the directory, ls command. When I execute ls command, list the files. Any files available? No files are available. I want to create a directory, mkdir. Here, I want to create one directory with a command. That is mkdir1, ls command. With this, you can see one directory created with a name called 1. Let me create another directory, mkdir2. Then ls. Directory 1, directory 2 got created. They are displaying in the same line. I want to display them in the new line. ls-l, list the files. Directory 1 is available, directory 2 is available. For that, I am using a command called mkdir. If I want to delete the directory, rmdir1. That means now, again go for ls-l. Directory 1 deleted, only directory 2 is available. So like this, you can use mkdir command, which is used to create the new directory, rmdir command, which is used to remove the empty directory. cd command is available, which is used to change the directory. ls command is available, which is used to list the files available in our directory. ls is used to list the files which are available in the directory. And there is a command available, touch command available to create empty file. Touch command is available to create the empty file. Cat, create file with content and display file content. If I want to create one empty file in the Linux, then I will go for a command called touch command. If I want to display the content available in the file, I will go for cat command. Let us go for touch command, ls-l. Currently, there is no file available. Let me go for a touch f1.txt. ls-l. Now you see f1.txt file got created. I want to create another empty file. Touch f2.txt, f3.txt. I'm creating two empty files at a time. Touch f2.txt and f3.txt. Now ls-l. You can see F2, F3 files got created at a time. So if you go for touch command, it is used to create only empty file. Touch command is used to create only empty file. Are you guys clear? Next one. I want to create one file with the content. I don't want to create empty file. I want to create a file with some content. To create a file with the content, we will go for cat command. Let us see cat command, cat arrow m1.txt. When you give the cat arrow m1.txt, it is going to create a file that will ask for the content. You see here, I'm giving cat arrow, single arrow, m1.txt. Now it is asking for the content. Hi, this is m1 file. Enter, Control D. Save and close that file. Now here, if I go for cat with the file name, it is displaying whatever the content that is available in the file. Cat with the single arrow m1.txt, that is used to create a file with the new content. When I use a cat file name, it is displaying the content which is available. If I use a cat double arrow m1.txt, it is used to append the data to the same file. I am learning Linux. Okay, Control D, close that file. Now cat m1.txt. Now you see, old data is available and new data is available. You see, for the cat command, three syntaxes are available. Cat space file name, display the content available in the file. Cat double arrow file name, add the content at the bottom of the file. Cat single arrow file name, recreate the file with the new content. Now, my file is having two lines. If I go for cat single arrow m1.txt, I am learning Java. Control D. Now, cat m1.txt, only new data is available. It erased old data. That means when you use the single line, it will delete the old data. It will write only new data. If you go for a double arrow, it will keep old data. It will append new data to the existing data. Cat command is available. Create file with the content and it is used to display the file. If you go for cat space file name, create file with the data, we will lose old data. We will lose old data. If you go for cat double arrow file name, then append data at the bottom. If you go for cat space file name, display file content. Display file. Touch is used to create only empty file. Cat is used to create file with the content and display the content. So the syntax for the cat. Cat single arrow file name, create file with data. We will lose old data if we have. Cat double arrow file name, append data at the bottom. Cat file name, display the file content. Are you guys clear? Are you guys clear with this one? If you want to remove the file, now let me go for ls command. ls-l. F1, F2, F3, M1 file is available. I want to remove the F1. rm f1.txt. That file will be deleted. Rm is a command that is used to delete the file. Now you see, F1 file is available. Now I used rm command. That file got deleted. Rm command is used to remove the file. It is used to remove the file. Okay. Suppose I want to rename the file. To rename the file, mv command will be available. F2 file is available. I want to make it as F22. mv f2.txt space f22.txt. ls-l. That file is renamed from f2 to f22.txt. So what is the command I am using to rename? mv command I am using. mv command to rename the file or direct. To rename file or direct. For that we are going for mv command. rm is used to remove the file. mv is used to rename the file. I want to copy the data from one file to another file. then you will go for cp command, copy. So if you see ls-l, m1.txt file is available. Let me print the content. Cat command. Cat is used to print the content of the file. In that file, what is the content available? I'm learning Java content is available. Let me do cp m1.txt space ashokit.txt. I'm telling copy the data from m1 file to ashokit file. Ashokit file is not available. Let us do this. ls-l. Now ashokit.txt got created. Cat ashokit.txt. Now, whatever the data that is available in the M1, that data is coming to ashokit file. How ashokit file got created? By using cp command. m1.txt to ashokit.txt. So here, when I use the cp command, it created the new file called ashokit.txt by copying the data from the m1.txt. That is copying the data from one file to another file. If you want to copy the data from one file to another file, then you will go for cp command. cp command. Copy the files to copy data from one file to another file. And there is a command called wc command is available. Word count. wc ashokit.txt. It is saying that in the ashokit.txt file, one line is available, 4 words available, 17 characters available. You can see that. Cat ashokit.txt. One line available, 4 words available, 17 characters are available. That is a word count command. wc command. If you want to calculate how many words, how many lines, how many characters available in the file, then you can go for wc command. That is word count command. wc, word count. It will display lines, comma words, comma characters. Number of lines, number of words, number of characters available in the file. Are you guys? These are very basic commands that we are discussing. Who am I? Date, cal, pwd, mkdir, rmdir, cd, ls, touch, cat, rm, mv, cp, wc. These are the very basic commands that we have seen. Are you clear? Are you clear with the basic commands? There are many commands available in the Linux. We have to discuss those commands. For today, I think this is sufficient. I want you people to create one Linux machine and connect it to that Linux machine by using mobile extram and practice the basic commands that we have discussed in the Linux. So tomorrow also we'll work on the Linux commands. Tomorrow also we are going to work on the Linux commands. Thank you. Anybody having any questions, you can ask me. Anybody having any questions, you can unmute your mic and you can ask me now. Fine, guys. Mobile extram is just a client software that is used to connect with the Linux machine. You can use putty also to connect with the Linux machine. So how to connect with the putty? That also we are having a video. I will share that video in the group. How to connect to the Linux machine by using putty. How to connect by using mobile extram. I will share that. Okay. Good. So tomorrow we don't have a class, guys. So Monday tomorrow I'm not going to take the class. That's why I have taken the class today. We have the next class on Tuesday. For both JRTP and SBMS, we have next class on Tuesday.
Hello. Tomorrow is there class, sir?
No class.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, hi, good morning.
To disable, how
Sir,
to disable this EC2 instance?
How to
disable this EC2 instance, sir? When we work on it, and
you can select that machine. There is an option called action. There you can stop the machine.
okay.
Yeah, hi, sir.
Hello.
Sir, I have a doubt regarding our project.
Yeah.
Sir, whenever I am trying to insert any record into the table, sir, if I am maintaining the session, then it is relationship is happening. But if I am not using the session, I am unable to maintain.
First of all, as I told you, our project is full stack project with microservices. Session concept should not be used.
Then sir, how to do it? I'm a little got
You
confused.
need to think on that. How to do that means you need to think on that. Session concept should not be used in our project because it is not monolith application, it is microservice application. In the microservices, session will not be available.
I got stock actually there from the last 2 days. Can you find one
You
little
need to
help?
whatever the data that you need, you need to expect that the data is coming from the UI. Whatever the data that you are keeping in the session, you need to take the data from the request.
From the request.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Yeah. Hello. Good morning.
Sir, as we are creating IES application, and we are having multiple modules. So we are going to launch multiple T2 instances for that to deploy different
That
module on
concept,
different servers.
that concept is different, sir. As we are having multiple APIs, every API will have a Docker container. You will understand. We will, once the AWS topics are completed, we'll go to the Docker and we will discuss that. How our 8 APIs are available, right? 8 containers we are going to launch for the 8 APIs. What is container? That we will discuss in the coming classes.
And sir, you told us about at the very beginning of the our batch, you told us about loggers and logging server as well. So are we going to develop a server that will take all the logs from the application, something like that?
Log server means I will show you EFK. Log server means the machine in which we are going to store the log files. That is called log server.
Okay. So sir, please show us, means whenever we are deploying our things now, so you can show us.
Yes, we will deploy that.
Like.
Once you learn the Docker, then you will get the clarity how the real-time deployments will happen.
And sir, for that to see the logs, Putty is only the software that we are going to use, right?
MobaXtrom or Putty or EFK stack is available, Splunk available. There are many options are available to do that, man. Not only Putty or not only MobaXtrom. There are multiple. Okay.
Sir, tell us the concept of Putty, means how it look like. So because in our company, Putty is the main software that people are using.
I'm going to send you a video. 5 minutes video is there. You will understand how to connect with the EC2 instance by using Putty. I will share in the group now.
Sir, with a single instance, we can generate PEM file and PPK file both.
Yes, you can do that. Once you get the PEM file, you can convert that to the PPK.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Fine, guys.
Hello.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Tell me.
Sir, in my AWS account, there is no option for T2 macro. It is showing T3 macro, and it is also for free trial eligible. So
yeah, then you can do. Maybe you are selected Hyderabad region. You can use that. If it is free trial eligible, you can use it. No issue.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. Good. Thanks for joining the session today. Please practice whatever we have discussed in the class. We'll meet again on the Tuesday. Until then, bye-bye. Take care.